Hey Hunters, Halozu here for another One D&D video looking at Playtest 8. This time we are looking at the spells and what has happened to them. So this is going to be an interesting video because we're going to look through all the revisions and the new spells and kind of talk about all of them. So this is going to be quite the video though. I'm going to start down here. So Cure Wounds, Healing Word, Mass Cure Wounds, Mass Healing Word, all start at 2 dice instead of 1. So Mass Cure Wounds is now 5d8 instead of 3d8. Healing Word is... Oh, and I just noticed it improves by 2d4 and 2d8. Oh my gosh, that is... Ooh, boy, that's powerful. That is very powerful. So yeah, that should hopefully fix the problems of healing being kind of not that effective, and Cure Wounds, oh boy. Oh boy, that is silly. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know if it really needed to be upgraded that much. But it does the job. Don't get me wrong, it's just... Oh boy, that is a lot of healing. Like, as a second level spell, it's 48. At second level. Oh boy. Yeah, it's powerful now. It's actually arguably worth casting. Yay! It's kind of... I'd have preferred if they just added 15 feet to the range of all of them, but it is what it is. And then Mass Healing Word and Cure Wounds. It's nice that it has a bit better healing. It's actually kind of worth it. So yeah, those are going to be very good and powerful. Fountain Moonlight, Power Word Fortify, and Starry Wisp are entirely new spells. Fountain Moonlight and Starry Wisp for Bard and Druid. Power Word Fortify for Bard and Cleric. So some cool new spells for the various support classes. And do note I am grouping Bards with the two because it's a support class in my opinion. That's where I group it. And then the Conjure spells. So Conjure animals, celestial, elemental, fae, minor elementals, and woodland beings have all been redesigned to change them from the summon spells of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Fair. Once we get into them, though, oh boy, did they really drop the ball with making the Conjure spells different, but fit the theme. Now, I will also state the spells we have in place of the old Conjure spells are actually good. I like the designs. I don't think they should be called the Conjure spells, and I think honestly they should have done something different. I get where they're going for, like, this idea that, okay, well, we want the summon spells to be the main ones, and then we're going to have these do other stuff. I'd have preferred a different design, and this, quite frankly, sucks as Conjure spells. Like, compared to what we had before, it was like, yeah, they had a place. But these... Ugh. They don't fit what the spell should be, in my opinion. I wouldn't use them, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't match what the spell, like, being the Conjure spells. It's... I would have preferred if these were just new spells. Like, make these all new spells, and have the conjure spells reworked to have some consolidation with the rules of the summon spells, but they work differently. So, or even have some stuff from Druid where it's like, okay, well, their stats are affected by yours. So, basically, their attack modifiers are based off your spell modifier, aka your wisdom, in like Conjure Animal's case. For example, instead, so it's like, okay, well, their attack rolls and saving throws are based off your spell mod, but everything else is the same as the animal you summon. And I think that would have been better. Just like, it kind of keeps the original ideas without replacing the spell with something else entirely, and keeps the spirit of the original while buffing them to work better alongside the other summon spells. But what do the actual spells do? Let's get into it. Starting off with Conjure Animals. 60-foot range, you summon a large swarm of spectral animals in an occupied space. Which already, yeah, that's going to be fun. Finding space for a large swarm. And they can take various forms, like you'd have a swarm of wolves. Which is cool, but I would have rather just, summoned a big pack of wolves. Innately. But whenever a creature hostile to you enters a space in 10 feet of the swarm for the first time on a turn, or starts its turn there, you can make a melee spell attack against the creature, dealing 2d10 plus spell mod, radiant damage. Yeah, I do not like that at all. Like, why? Just, why? Why does it have to be radiant? Ugh. Could it not be like you choose bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing when you cast the spell, and then that's the damage type it does? That would be cool and useful. It's like, because it would count as magical, because it's a spell, so it's magical. But yeah, the radiant damage I don't really like, because it doesn't match the flavor I want. I want it to be physical. Like, that's kind of the theme. It's like, ugh, but radiant, it just doesn't fit right to me. It's, ugh. You also have advantage on strength saves while in 10 feet of the swarm, which not always going to do. And when you move on your turn, you can also move the swarm up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Nice. As we're going to see, though, that is more unique than it should be. But yeah, it might even be the only one that moves, but well. And at higher levels, it's D10 extra damage. So as you'll see, it's a good spell, but I don't like it as Conjure Animals. Like, I wish Conjure Animals was still around to be like, oh yeah, I summon a bunch of animals at once. Like, maybe it's a bunch of lesser spirits. Like, they only get one attack. It's relatively weak, but you get to summon a pack of them, basically. So, like, I get summon a pack of wolves. There's a pack of wolves. So I get multiple. They do less damage they each do less damage individually, but I have a bunch of them, so I can do, basically in a group fight, I can have a group of them, or I could have one really good summon. Maybe do something like that, or, I don't know, kind of keep the old one, but they use spell mod for attack rolls and saving throws. This, I think, minus the radiant damage, it's good. I just think there's something better. Like, this could be a new spell. Like, maybe these could be Convoke X. So, like, Convoke animal. This is Convoke animals. So it's not, you're not conjuring them. You're convoking some animals, like animal spirits. And then the rest are also Convoke X. So it's linked to the Conjure spells, but the Conjure spells are still around. Tweaked, but they're doing something closer to what they did before, where they are actually conjuring what you're looking for, rather than just being some weird spell that doesn't fit. A lot of which you could just remove the summoning spirit flavor and it would, like, you can make them evocation spells, like Conjure Celestial. 90 feet, concentration 10 minutes. Summon a celestial spirit which manifests as a pillar of divine light in a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder, center point in range. Bright light fills the cylinder. No dim light beyond it, though, which I kind of wish they did, where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, like maybe 10 feet beyond the cylinder, it's dim light. And when you move on your turn, move it 30 feet. When a creature enters the cylinder for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, you can choose 1 or 2. Healing Light just regains 4d12 plus spell mod HP, which is very powerful, I might add. That, oh boy, that is overtuned. Yeah, that could be lowered by 2d12. And heck, I think for both you could have it and it would be fine. Granted, it is 7th level. Well, yeah, it is 7th, so actually I don't... Yeah, I think it's fine at 4d12 with 7th. But Searing Radiance, 8d12 on a dex save. Ooh, boy, that's going to roast some critters. I do appreciate that it's double, but I think that could be 6d12 and be perfectly balanced. Especially because this isn't once per round it does one of these. Every turn it can do one of these. Which is, yeah, that's pretty absurd, actually. And once again, this is good. I just don't think it should be Conjure Celestial. But, yeah. And at higher levels, plus 1d12 for both. Fair. But yeah, that is powerful. So yeah, that's going to be used for some stupid stuff. Conjure Elemental. 60 feet. Rather than 90 feet, which, yeah. Some elemental spirit fills a 10-foot cube in range. Spirits last for the duration. And they're either air, earth, fire, or water. Which you choose on cast, as you'd expect. Whenever a creature hostile to you moves in 5 feet of the spirit, which, by the way, is a shorter range than Conjure Animals, which had a 10-foot reach for some reason. That should probably be reversed, in my opinion. But yeah. And also, they fill the same area, too, ironically. But anyway, when a creature moves in 5 feet, takes 8d8 damage of either bludgeoning for earth, cold for water, fire for fire, obviously, and lightning for air. And if it's large or smaller, it's also pulled into the cube and it has the restrained condition. At the start of each of its turn, makes a save. On success, it's free. On a failure, it takes 48 damage of that type. It can only have one creature restrained at a time, but it can still lash out at other creatures. So, yeah, that's good. Do note, you can't move this. Why? Why can't I move this? I want to move this. And its damage increases by 2d8. And yeah, they should have specified that the direct damage. Or just make it 1d8, because yeah, 2d8 is actually really powerful. And is going to scale ridiculously. But yeah, it's like, don't get me wrong, I'll love using this as a lightning mage, but oh boy, do I feel like I still wish I could just summon an elemental, like the elemental mermaid and stuff. It's like, can I not just summon them again? Like, it's cool being able to summon those and create them. It's sure the summon spells function a lot better overall, but with some tweaks, it could be good. Fey Spirit, 60-foot range. Summon a medium Fey Spirit, non-occupied space and range. Looks like a Fey creature of your choice. Spirit appears. Make one melee spell attack against a creature in 5 feet of it. On hit, 3d12 plus spell mod psychic damage. And it has to make a Wiz save or be frightened. And as a bonus action, on later turns, you can teleport the spirit 30 feet, basically. So it can Misty Step. And repeat the attack. And its damage increases by 2d12. What? 2d12? Heighten? What? What is this absurdity? Like, that's up to 8d12 extra. On top of 3. That's 11d12 damage per attack at 9th level. What? And I will say, this is the closest to what I think. And I think this is the least bad of the group, because at the very least with this one, it does kind of feel like, yeah, you're summoning something and it's doing stuff. It can't be attacked, though, which is a bit unfair for this one, because, oh boy. Yeah, immediately this one is kind of overtuned, and, yeah. Heightening by D12, 2d12. What were you thinking? Oh boy. Oh boy, that's overpowered. Conjure minor elementals is the penultimate one we're looking at of the conjure spells. So it's on yourself now with the 15-foot radius. Flit around you. And basically when you hit a creature in 15 feet of you, it does 2d8 bludgeoning, cold, fire, lightning damage. Basically, it's just Spirit Shroud, but different. And it makes terrain difficult, area around you difficult terrain. In the range of the difficult terrain increases by 5 each level, or each slot level, and the damage dealt increases by 2d8. It's, once again, these are way overtuned, it seems, with the heightening. It's absurd. But this one, why did you have to make it so terrible? Just why? I do not. And this is probably the worst offender of the, like, the spell itself is good, but it's not good as a conjure spell. And this one, oh boy. You know what I think of? You know what the last thing I think of when I think of conjuring spells and stuff? Self buffs. Like, granted, like, conjure weapon or armor, that one should be a self buff. Like, That's different. This, no. This does not feel like a conjure spell. It's... Ugh. This one really misses the mark. It's... At least with the others, yeah, you're conjuring something that is doing an effect, but... And then Conjure Woodland Beings is also a self-buff. Why? That doesn't match being a conjure spell. Like, what? I don't think of self-buffs. And so what this one does, it's a 10-foot radius, so it's smaller. But basically each creature you choose that enters space within 10 feet of you first time on a turn, or starts its turn there, with save or 5d8 force damage. And you take it disengage. Disengage is a bonus action. Yeah. Like, I get Conjure Woodland Beings can do some very overpowered stuff if you start trying to abuse it, but this is just so far off the mark. Like, once again, you could make this an entirely different spell. It would be fine, but this is not a conjuration spell, in my opinion. This is not a conjure spell. And I get, like, maybe there's some bias, but this doesn't feel like a conjuration spell. This feels like a transmutation or evocation spell. It's not a conjuration one. I can tell you that much. And same with Conjure Minor Elementals. It doesn't feel like a conjuration spell. It feels like a transmutation or evocation. It's not. Cure Wounds is Cure Wounds. It's still a touch range spell, which is... Ugh. But, yeah. They may have made it heightened too good. The 2d8 heightened is absurd. And I get that the reason is probably because they're making the other, like, Healing Word upgrade by 2. But, yeah. I get the why. It's just... It didn't need that. I can tell you that much. Healing Word, yeah, I can definitely see it needing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if these went back down to heightening by 1. But, yeah. For what they are, though, oh boy. Oh boy, they're fun. And good. And Cure Wounds, that's actually worth considering now, because it's, like, sure, it's expending your turn, but for 2d8, oh boy, that's good. Mass Healing Word, of course, it's better now, so it's actually worth. Gonna do a lot more. I feel like they might be able to sneakily get 3d4, but 2d4 is fine. Because it's literally half of what a Healing Word would do at that level, so yeah, it's good. Now the new spells. Starting with Fount of Moonlight for level 4. It's on Bard and Druid. It's also given to Moon Druids by default. But you emit Bright Light into self-spell as an action, concentration up to 10 minutes. You emit Bright Light in 20-foot radius and Dim Light an additional 20 feet beyond that. Until spell ends, you have resistance to radiant damage, and your melee attacks deal an extra 2d6 radiant damage on a hit. Yeah, the melee attack part, not a fan. I would have liked it to be melee or ranged attacks. But it should be noted that this actually does some silly stuff, because mix this with Thorn Strike. or Thorn Whip. This is gonna do some stupid stuff on Druid. Like, and it's 2d6 radiant damage. Yeah, it doesn't heighten, but yeah, it's kind of silly. And also, whenever you take damage from a creature in 60 feet of you, use a reaction to make them make a con save or be blinded. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I gotta say, overall, it's pretty cool. I do like the idea of abusing this with Thorn Whip, but oh, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, I do have to say it's a nice new spell. Something cool, and I do like it. Even if I do think it could be made to work with ranged attacks, or at least ranged weapon attacks. Ranged spell attacks, I'm okay with being dropped on it, but I mean, I don't think it'd be that crazy with it. Because you are expending a 4th level spell slot to do the extra damage, but for melee attacks only, oh boy, it's gonna be fun. Though I do feel like this was kind of made for melee builds, so yeah. I do also think this could be given to Paladin. I don't think it'd be that crazy on them. Because it is one of their higher level spells, and it'd be... the effects all work for them. So yeah, maybe this could be added to Cleric and Paladin. Or maybe just Paladin. I don't know. Then we have power word Fortify. So it's 60-foot range as an action. At level 7, it's enchantment. Like all the other power words. So you can fortify up to 6 creatures in range. However, this is divided among the recipients equally. So, ironically, this means that you can give one person 128 temporary hit points. You could give 2 people 60. You could give 3 people, I think, 40. Then you'd have... for 4, it would be 30. Then 5, I think it's 25? Would it be? Or 24? Yeah, it'd be 24, I think. Yeah, it would be 24. And then you could give 6 people 20. So, right off the bat, it should be pretty clear that this is wildly swingy in its power. I think... because, honestly, I don't see... because it feels like it's really designed around being used at like 1 or 2 people is when it's best. But because I feel like giving it to 6 is... because 5, I think it's meh. It's very lackluster. Because the diminishing returns is like, eh. But giving one person 120, oh boy. I think maybe this should just be a flat 30 per person. But yeah, what it is silly. Like, giving one person 128 temporary hit points, oh boy. That's gonna be crazy. Starry Wisp. It's action, 60-foot range. Hallelujah! No problems with range anymore. Woohoo! It's only a Bard and Druid, though. Why can't Clerics get this? And you'll see why. Like, and ironically, this also kind of matches what something I've done. But Range spell attack. On hit, d8 radiant damage. And until the end of your next turn, emits dim light in 10-foot radius and can't benefit from the invisible condition. Yeah, this is a really neat and useful spell. It wouldn't be my first choice to give Circle of the Moon, but I do actually really like this as an option. And also, Circle of Stars Rejoice! You have a cantrip that actually fits you now. Awesome. Like, it's perfect. But, I do have to say I would like if this was on Cleric as well, because, oh boy, could they use an attack roll cantrip. Like, heck, you're giving Bard an attack roll cantrip before Cleric. Even though Cleric actually fit having it more, in my opinion. Like, but, yeah, for what it is, though, I like it. Also, kind of matches a spell I was making for Tarkir homebrew stuff that was actually called Sunray, which is kind of just this. It illuminated a target and made them shine light. I think it was bright light for 5, dim light for 5, but this is just dim light for 10, which is fair. But yeah, I wanted to give clerics a ranged spell attack and made it. And now this is here. Ironically, not on cleric though. It's the hilarity. And then of course, as an upgrade, every 5, 11, 17 gets an extra d8. Because of course it does. Everything else is as it was before. Including this overpowered menace. Seriously, why did you not change this, Wizards? It has been broken forever. Like, ever since it was first printed. Please, get rid of it. Or, like, rework it to not be overpowered as hell. Make it a flat buff, please. But anyway, without further ado, that has been the spells. Overall, I think what they've made is all good. It's just the conjure spells. They should have been new spells, not replacing the new conjure, like not the conjure spells reworked. But with that all out of the way, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. And if you want to keep in tune with more One D&D stuff, as well as any homebrew content I mention, as well as some video game stuff eventually, kind of become a running thing that I don't do that. I do hope to do it soon. I have some ideas for what I might do, but you'll have to see what I am pulling out later. But without further ado, see y'all next time! Halo Zoo, out!